powerful elements. One can never be too well prepared.
Alright, welcome to part 2 or 3 of my Honor Magic V5 tips and tricks guides. This one is 17 tips and tricks to help you upgrade and optimize the Honor Magic V5. And if you follow along with the steps that I'm about to show you, you will significantly improve how you use the Honor Magic V5 on a daily basis. And if you don't have this phone yet, and you're still thinking about getting one, well, this video will highlight what this phone is all about. And if you do have one of these already, then you should definitely check out part 1 of this 3-part series. I'll link that at the end, but for now, definitely follow along with this one because
this is where the fun begins.
Okay, tip number 1, when you've got a big screen in your pocket, one of the best use cases is, of course, to watch movies. But another very good use case for the big screen is split screening apps. So I'm going to show you the basics of this. So let's say, for example, you're within an app right now and you want to access a second app. There is a very handy taskbar hidden away at the bottom of the screen all the time when you're on the big screen. And to access it, you just swipe up a little bit from the bottom, not from the center, because that will open backgrounding. And there we go. We've got our little taskbar at the bottom. Now, this taskbar will have docked apps and then the most recently used apps over here on the right. And if the app that you happen to want to split screen is here, you can literally grab it and drag it up onto the screen to start split screening. If you hit the 3 dots in the center of this page right here, you have a few options. You can horizontal split, vertical split, and you can also save this app pair if you want to. This has now been saved to your home screen in the first available space. So that's one way you can split screen. Here is another way. See this little icon down here, bottom left corner on the little taskbar? This is one of the most useful additions to a folding phone that I've seen to date, because when you tap this, you have the option to choose app pair or even an app trio. So I'm going to tap the trio icon and now I can tap the apps to add to this app trio. So let's say I want YouTube, Docs, and maybe Google Drive. There we go. I now have 3 apps open, all on display at the same time. And just like before, if we hit the 3 dots in the middle, we can flip these horizontal like so. And the great thing about this is we can actually adjust the height of each app individually. So let's say I want the Docs to take up most of the screen. There we go. And if I want to jump to this other page, just tap here. If I want to flip it vertically, I can do that. The only disadvantage to an app trio compared to an app pair is you can't actually save the trio. But at least now you know how to create one. And what I recommend you do is figure out which app pairs you're going to use the most, set them up here and save them, and they will appear as an app. Just like that. Tip number 2. Okay, so there is another little trick when it comes to split screening and also pop-up windows. And this one isn't that obvious. With some phones, you'll have a little bar that appears on the right-hand side here. On this phone, you don't get that by default, but there is something known as the magic sidebar, which is kind of out of sight. And the way you access this is by swiping in and holding, and it pops out just like that. Now, one of the cool things about the magic sidebar is if you just tap on an app here, instead of actually dragging it onto the display, it opens in a pop-up window. So this means that this app is going to float on top of whatever's going on in the background. If you grab one of the bottom corners right here, you can resize it. If you want to move it around, you do need to grab this blue bar at the top here, and you can place it somewhere else. And you can actually drag it into either one of the corners, and that kind of minimizes the app. So it's kind of out of the way. You can carry on doing what you're doing, and when you need the calculator, you can tap on it and it brings it back. Okay, tip number 3. This is one of the most powerful AI tools on this device. To access it, go into your settings. This feature is actually switched on by default, but there is one little setting that makes it even better. So on the left side, if you go to Honor AI, and on the right side here, we're going to go to Magic Portal. And if you scroll down, you'll notice this little switch right here is off. So switch this on. This allows the Magic Portal to recognize text and images. So let me show you how to use this now. There are a couple of ways, just like before. But for example, let's say right here, there's some text. There's also a date at the top. What you can do is use the knuckle of your finger to draw around a section of the display. And the phone will actually try to assess what it is it's looking at, and it will offer options using AI as to what to do next. Depending on what it is, you will see different options. And you'll also get the option to extract text down here. So I can copy and paste this text somewhere else on the device. If there is an address and I use the Magic Portal around that address, it offers up the maps, for example, and it opens the map in pop-up view, so I don't have to close the window that I was in order to see that location. Another way to use the Magic Portal is to open the Magic sidebar, and you'll see the Magic Portal pops up here as well. And when we tap on this, we can now draw a circle just using your regular finger and not your knuckle, which is sometimes a lot easier. So I'm just going to draw around this Coldplay track here at the top, and let's see if it recognizes it. Do a quick Google image search, and there we go, it's found all of the details. There are lots of good use cases for the Magic Portal, and it might actually surprise you the more you use it. So now you know how to use it, definitely make use of it. Okay, number 4, this kind of piggybacks on the last tip. One of the cool things you can do if you do use the Magic Portal is grab images from pretty much anywhere. So let's say I like this Coldplay artwork and I want to keep this on file and maybe add it into a document that I'm working on. I can draw around this. I can even crop it in exactly where I want it to be, and I can add it to my favorite spaces. So this is a new feature. The first time you use it, you're going to have to give permissions as it creates a space within your device storage. You can also create a shortcut to the favorite space, which I do recommend you do, and it will appear like this. Now think of the favorite space as a kind of storage that you have quick access to all the time. And it's important you know the difference between the Magic sidebar and the favorite space. Remember how we didn't have a line for the Magic sidebar? Well, we still don't have a line, but we do now have a little handlebar for the favorite space. And this can be brought out on top of whatever app you're using at any time. So if you just slide this out very quickly, you get access to all of your favorite space stuff. Now you might be wondering, how could this be useful? Let's say, for example, I want to add this image into some work. You can then grab this information, or an image in this case, and drag it onto the document you're working on. And there we go. We've added the Coldplay logo for that song into a Google Keep note. Now check this out. We could also use the Magic Portal to grab some information about this using the Google search. And paste that into this document. Now, before we move on to the next one, there is a little setting that I recommend you switch on that will improve how easy it is to use favorite space. Jump into your settings. On the left side, scroll all the way down to accessibility features and go to favorite space here and enable the 3-finger global favorites. And where you see the 3-finger swipe down, you want to change this to global favorites. This will still screenshot, but it will now add it to the favorite folder. And the great thing about this, when you are researching something and you're on a web page and you do the 3-finger swipe down, this then adds that page to the favorite space. And it also saves a link back to it as well. All right, so AI is getting really good. And whilst we still have control of it, we might as well use it to our advantage. And I do recommend you use it ethically. And just to give you an example of how you could use this, I'm going to go back to that Google Keep document that I just created with the stolen Coldplay logo. So this right here is some information about this album. What I can do with AI on this phone is highlight the text, and this will work anywhere on the device where you can type. If you highlight text, you'll see the AI writing tools pop up. If you tap on the AI writing tools, you get a few options: compose, summary, rewrite, adjust length, and proofread. So I'm going to go to rewrite so I can pass this off as my own writing. There we go. And now I can hit replace, and that replaces all that existing text with something that's been recreated. Some of the other things you can do here, if you go to the AI writing tool, is hit compose. And again, this will use AI to generate different text. If you go to adjust length, you've got text expansion and text contraction. So you get the idea. These AI writing tools are very, very useful. I find them the most useful when it comes to correcting my grammar and just proofreading stuff that I've written myself. And I do recommend you make use of it because you have the power to, and it's still going. It's been writing for like a couple of minutes now. If you want to change the style of the text, there is the option to do that. So you can make it more formal, more humorous, more casual. Let's make it more humorous. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's move on to the next one. So this one is another AI tip, and actually this is something you need to switch on in order for it to work. So let me show you how to do that. If you go to your settings, on your left side, go to Honor AI. On this side, go to AI subtitles. Switch this on. You can also choose to add the shortcut to the home screen. I do recommend you do that. You have some customization options here, for example, the font size and the transparency of the floating window. And you have the option to change the voice, the male or female. Now, when you have this activated, this little floating windows here, you can hit the settings right there, go to languages, and you can choose the source language and the target language. So let's say I want this to be French, for example. I'm going to open a video that has some English in it. This is actually a song, so I don't know how good the translation is, but you get the idea. You can create closed captions on any content and have it translate to pretty much any language that's in the dictionary here within the AI Translate feature. And you can even save the translation for later on. All right, here's another AI tool. If we jump back into the settings and we go back to the AI section, again, if we go down, we go to AI Translate this time. This is different from the subtitles. Give it the permissions. So this one allows you to use the Honor Magic V5 as a translator in real life, not just on the device. An interpreter is probably the more accurate way to explain it. So once you've activated the feature, if you swipe up, you'll see the AI Translate option. It will be in your apps list. You can open this, and this works exactly how you think it would. You choose the two languages. You can push the button. This would actually be the French person talking, and then it would convert it into English. And then it translates it, and it actually speaks it out in French. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. Being that this has two screens, one on the inside and one on the outside, if you hit this little icon up here, what you can do is actually hold this up, and if I flip the languages, what you'd see is the French on the cover display, and then the English translated from French on the inside display. But I've got them the wrong way around right now. Okay, let's try that again. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. So when you've got this set up correctly, you can speak in English and they will see the French on the cover display. And then when they speak in French, you'll see the translated English on the inner display. Let me know if you speak French, how accurate this is. It'd be good to know. All right, next tip, and this is another AI tip and another feature that actually switched off on day one, and you should switch this on because it could be very handy one of these days. Go to your settings. On the left side, we're going to go back to Honor AI. On the right side, we're going to go to Cool Translation. So this allows the AI translation tool to work with the phone app. Now, one thing that's really important to know is you have to use the Honor phone app. If you download the Google phone app, which is something I did, that one, it doesn't work. It has to be the Honor phone app. When you call someone with this, what you'll see at the center is Call Translation. So if you know they're not going to speak your language, you can activate this straight away. You can choose the language that the other person speaks, and you can choose your language. And then you can take turns to talk to each other, and it will automatically translate into their language, and then their language will translate into your language. And if you want to customize the translated languages, just open the phone app, hit the three dots in the top right corner, go to your settings, go to Call Translation. Here you can change the voice of the translation. And then if you scroll down, you can change the language as well. And the great thing about this, if you're not a big fan of AI, you can actually download the voice recognition pack and then have it process data only on the device without accessing the web. All right, this next tip is something that I touched on in part 1 of this 3-part series, but we're going to go a bit more in depth. So this is a photo tip. So if you go to your gallery app and you open an image, at the bottom of the image, you'll see AI Edit. If you tap on this, you get 4 different AI tools here across the bottom. If you turn the phone sideways, they are vertical. And we have some really cool stuff here, like the ability to expand the image outwards. So if I wanted a perfect square, I could actually create that here. You've also got the option for AI cutout. So let's say I wanted to take this silhouette of me and make it bigger, I could do that. We've got AI upscale. So if it was a lower res image, I could upscale it even more, and AI eraser. So let's start with AI eraser because there's these 2 ladies right here that have completely ruined this shot. So what I'm going to do is just zoom in a little bit and draw over these ladies. And the great thing is, look up here, you get a little magnified area to show you what you're actually selecting. And I'm going to highlight the other lady and let the AI figure out what to get rid of. And as you can see, it's selected both of them really cleanly and it's made them disappear. Their shadows are here a little bit, so I could actually highlight those and get rid of those shadows as well to erase all existence of those people right there. There we go. It's blended the concrete in like they weren't there at all. And you'll notice when you do select the AI eraser, you can change the different sizes of brushes. You can brush to erase. You can erase passers-by, so it will recognize if there are people in the shot, and even reflections. So if you're shooting through glass, you can get rid of that. Now let's do the AI cutout. So I'm just going to tap this. It's scanning the image for something to cut out. And there we go. It's selected me. I can now increase the size of this silhouette right here. I can even mirror this to flip around. I did have my foot on the curb a little bit here, so I'm going to keep it like this, just make it a bit bigger. Now that's actually starting to look a bit blurry. So what I can do here is hit the AI upscale and increase the resolution of the image, and that sharpened things up just a little bit. Now let's say I wanted to use this for the interior display on this phone. It's almost a perfect 1:1 ratio. So what I can do is go to the AI outpainting, select the 1:1 ratio. And you can see these two gaps down the side. What it's going to do is fill those up using AI to expand the image. And there we go. That actually looks fantastic, better than I was expecting. And now we can just save that image as a new file, not the original. So we have the before and after. And if I wanted to set this as a wallpaper, just hit the three dots up here, set as, and then I can choose to set this as my phone wallpaper if I wanted to. Tip number 10. Okay, so if you are using your Honor Magic V5, or you plan to use your Honor Magic V5 for work, you might want to keep your work and personal life separated. And there is a really good way to do that with this phone. If you jump into your settings on the left side, if you scroll all the way to where it says foldable phones, and here you will find the parallel space. So if you try now, this will set it up for you. You need to configure a different pin from the one that you use to unlock the phone. And once you've created this, you can now move files and folders in and out of the parallel space. And you can also add apps to the parallel space that operate independently from the ones on the main space. And once you've set up the parallel space for the first time, you will have the parallel space app pop up, so you can quickly access this at any time. If you want to stop the parallel space dead in its tracks, you can hit the power button up here, and that will close the parallel space entirely and free up the RAM and the GPU and the CPU so that it's back to normal. All right, now let's do a couple of customization tweaks that a lot of people might overlook on day one. If you jump into your settings, once again, scroll down to biometrics and password. Now I'm sure you've already set up at least one fingerprint, and it was probably the thumb on your right hand based off of where the fingerprint scanner is on this phone. Well, what you got to think about with this particular phone is that there's a few ways you could pick it up. You could pick it up with your right hand and your thumb would be right there. You could pick it up with your left hand, and in that scenario, your first finger on your left hand would be the one that you'd want to scan. And the other way you might pick this up is with your right hand whilst it's flat on the desk, and you might want to use your first finger on your right hand. So my best advice for you is to add 3 fingerprints: your thumb, right hand, first finger, left hand, and first finger, right hand. And all you need to do is just hit new fingerprint and register all of those. Now that that's done, no matter which way you pick up the Honor Magic V5, you will be able to unlock it very, very quickly with a fingerprint, which is the most secure way to unlock the device. It does have 2D face unlock, but if you care about security, I would just go with the fingerprints. Okay, here's another security feature that not many people know about. If you go back into your settings and go back to biometrics and passwords, and then tap where it says fingerprint ID on this page right here, you will see this feature, access safe. Switch this on, and this isn't really that self-explanatory. And once you've set that password, it's now been created, and there really isn't much explanation from Honor as to what this does and how to use it. So let me show you how to use it. So if you navigate back to your home screen and you swipe up, you will find the Honor Files app. Here is where you will find the Honor Safe. And because you've activated biometrics on this safe, you can now use one of your scanned fingerprints. And here you have a vault for your most sensitive files on your device. Think of this as a kind of vault. And if you want to add things to it, just hit the add button down here, and you could choose which files you want to move into it. If you go to your settings, you have the option to change the password and create security questions in case you're worried about forgetting your password. You can also create another safe if you wanted to. And if you need to, you can completely destroy it. So now you know how to lock things away and how to throw away the key. All right, so you might have already guessed what this next one is. If you go back into your settings, back into biometrics and password, tap where it says fingerprint again. The third tick box that hasn't been ticked yet is the access app lock. When you enable this, what you can actually do is set the phone to request a biometric or a PIN number in order to open a specific app on your device. Again, this is not a feature that's really well explained by Honor, and it's kind of a hidden one. So here's how you can access it. So if you go into your settings and then you scroll down to the security and privacy section, and if you scroll down again to device and data protection, here is where you can find the app lock. Now you have to use your fingerprint to access this. On this page right here, you'll see all of the apps that you can choose to lock down. So if there's anything that you want to keep behind lock and key, you can literally just hit the little tick box next to it, and there you go, it's locked up. Straight away, it requests a biometric unlock or a password. Here is another very useful feature when it comes to handing someone your phone to look at something. I recommend you do this if you don't want them snooping around. Go to settings, go back to security and privacy. On this page now, we're going to go to more security and privacy. And here you will see screen pinning. This is switched off. Switch this on. Also enable require screen password to unpin. Now, let's say you're giving your kid or someone your phone to use, and you only want to give them access to that one app. What you can do is bring up the backgrounding, and you will notice there is a pin below each one of these windows. So let's say I just want to give them access to YouTube. I can hit the pin right here. That is now locked on the screen, and they can't navigate away from this page without your password or biometrics. Okay, this next tip is for anyone who is not extremely rich, because this is an expensive phone, and I'm guessing you don't want someone to steal it from you. And unfortunately, it's becoming a bit of a rising crime these days. So here's a little safety measure you can put in place in case worst comes to the worst. Go to your settings, security and privacy, device unlock, and here you will find the theft protection. This is not switched on by default, and I do recommend you switch this on, because if someone does snatch your phone out of your hand and they start running down the street with it or riding down the street on an electric bike, this will actually cause your phone to lock automatically, so they won't be able to power it down. There is also a second measure you can put in place here, the offline device lock. So even if your phone is offline, it's not connected to the internet, you can still lock all your data away so that they can't access it. And if you scroll down again, you've got the remote lock. This allows you to lock the phone if it doesn't happen automatically, which it should, by heading to this address right here and then logging in with your Google account. What I recommend you do is actually copy this address and then email it to yourself. That way you have quick access to it later on if you do need it. Okay, here is another tip. Should the shit hit the fan, and you know it could happen, but you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So here's how you can do that. Again, within the settings menu, if you scroll down, again to security and privacy, this time we're going to go to device finders, and something that's not installed on this phone by default is the Find app. So the Find hub is on. If you go to this, you'll notice that it is switched on, but you don't have the Find hub app installed. So if you tap here, this will actually prompt you to download this from the Google Play Store. I do recommend you do this. Open it up, set it up properly on day one. Even though it is already switched on, you want to make sure you protect your investment by setting this up the correct way. And you'll notice when you go through the settings, you have some options as to whether your device can be found with varying types of coverage. So spend a bit of time, look at this, read through this, make sure you know what it's all about before making your final decision. This could be what gets your phone back to you if someone steals it or if you've lost it. All right, so this phone has some of the nicest displays on any phone, and there is some really advanced eye care features on this phone, which I do recommend you make use of, especially if you're kind of a power user and you spend a lot of hours on your device. So to unlock these display power tools, you need to go into your settings. On the left side, there is an entire section for this. It's called Honor Eye Comfort Display. First thing you should definitely do is turn on the circadian night display. So people don't realize when you absorb too much blue light at night, it can mess up your sleeping patterns. And this is designed to help prevent that from happening. And there's also been scientific studies that say the human eye is actually becoming misshapen from looking at screens right up close. And to actually prevent this from happening, there's this feature right here, the defocus eye care feature, which kind of changes the way the display shows you images, and it kind of softens some of the sharpness and allows your eyes to relax. So you can switch this on if you do feel your eyes becoming fatigued whilst looking at the screen. There's also the option for natural tone, which gives the display a much warmer tone, but it might not be as accurate as the DCI P3 colors that this phone uses. There is another eye comfort feature here, which is the blue light reduction, which you can schedule. The circadian feature should deal with that for you, so you might not need to use that. And if you do suffer from motion sickness, you might want to have a look at this quick setting down here, which will take you to the accessibility options. Anyway, definitely make use of the eye comfort features on this phone because they are some of the best that you can get on any phone right now. Okay, so I've showed you the parallel space and the app safe. Here is another way to create a separate space on the phone, which is actually different from those other two. If you go to your settings, go to security and privacy and device and data protection, you'll see your parallel spaces up here, but there's also this one down here, the private space. Think of this as a kind of separate workspace. So if you do use your phone for work and then also for personal use, this is a great way to keep those completely separated. I know it sounds exactly like parallel space, but it is a bit different. So what makes this one different is when the phone is locked, you can actually use a different PIN number or a different fingerprint to jump straight into this private space as opposed to the regular space. For example, for the private space, I could use my middle finger on my right hand to activate this mode. And the first time you set this up, you'll notice your phone goes back to its default settings, almost like an entirely brand new phone. But if we lock it and then open it again with a regular fingerprint, it jumps back into the default profile. So use this one wisely, and once again, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. I do have some quick fire tips for you guys before you jump into part 3 of this 3-part series. Take a look at these because these are important. Go to your settings, go to safety and emergency, go to emergency SOS. Here I highly recommend you fill out your emergency information. This consists of some important medical information if you have any specific requirements. You can also set up your emergency contacts, who should be alerted if there is an emergency, and who to send an SOS emergency message to. The great thing about doing this is if you do have to send an emergency SOS to somebody, you can hit the power key 5 times and it will actually alert those people, and it will also send your location to them so they can help you out. You can also set this up to make an SOS emergency call automatically when you hit that button 5 times. And if you want to hear how this message will sound on their side, you can hit this little play button down here. Now, something that a lot of people might not realize is that the one-handed mode on this phone is actually on by default, and the way you use it is actually quite a bit different from any other phone that I've seen. So you've got your navigation bar at the bottom of the screen. That's pretty standard on Android devices when you're using gestures. But if you swipe across this bar and hold, that's how you access the one-handed mode. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but that's how it works. You swipe and hold, one-handed mode. Now, for some of you guys out there, the punch hole in the display is kind of an everyday thing, but it can be annoying when gaming, and there is a little setting that you can adjust to make gaming a little more seamless on this device on the interior and the exterior display. To activate this feature, go into your settings, go to display and brightness, more display settings, and here you will find the display cutout, and you will see a list of all your apps. Now let's say Call of Duty, for example. We don't need that dot on the edge of the display blocking part of the screen. What you can do here is set it to hide cutout. Now when we launch Call of Duty, it crops the edge of the display so that cutout for the camera is not ruining the big picture. It might not look as nice, but it might give you a little bit of a tactical advantage. Okay, so smartphones have gotten so good these days that we forget that these are still phones. So here's a little tip that's gonna improve the Honor Magic V5's functionality as a phone. If you go into your settings, scroll all the way down to accessibility features. On this page, go to call enhancements and turn on AI noise cancellation. This does pretty much exactly what you think it does. If you're in a noisy environment, it will use AI to block out all of that background noise to make your phone calls even clearer. Okay, if you missed part 1 of this 3-part video series, that thumbnail's on screen right now. If you want to watch part 3, that's also on screen right now. It is 1 a.m. in the morning. I have literally been up all day working on these 3 videos. So I'm going to bed now. And please, if you got any value out of this, a little thumbs up would be appreciated. If you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. You are well on your way to becoming an Honor Magic magician when it comes to customization. But to complete your training, definitely watch part 3. And if you do that right now, I will see you in the next one. Don't be late.